an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Spoil Me, covering One Piece. Season, kind of, 1, episodes 4 and 5. In these episodes, we meet Buggy the Clown. And, I really thought that the red nose was going to somehow take away from how creepy he would be. And I was very wrong. I don't know why I thought that, because clowns are terrifying. Welcome to Spoil Me. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha. Thank you very much to Florian for commissioning this episode. So yeah, these two are loaded episodes. I found these really, really fun. So I'm just going to start from the beginning. I'm always tempted to just, come out of the gate talking about a variety of things that caught my attention. But this show is so strange that I feel like I'll really get lost if I do that. So I'm going to try and stay on track with the actual plot unraveling in the episodes. So we start off from the perspective of these 3 pirates who are saying that Buggy won't be mad at them now that they have all this. We still haven't found out by the end of this pair of episodes, by the way, what exactly these guys did to get separated from the rest of the crew, or why they were worried that Buggy was going to be angry at them. And I'm very curious about that, but it doesn't really matter. They see a boat that is much smaller than their own, and there is a woman that's hanging over the side, and we recognize her, her red hair and everything. We're like, oh shit, because I was very confident as soon as I spied her that this was going to be a trap. And indeed it is. I really appreciate too that the show manages to get these guys talking to her and leering in such a way that as a woman, I very much understand some of the subtext here, but that the show doesn't feel the need to actually have any dialogue that's creepy. It's not even that I would expect a show like this to be talking about rape. I'm sure that's not a thing. Although I say that, I don't know that. But I kind of thought that there was going to be some comment about her being a woman in a certain tone, or something about how attractive she is. No. It's just a mention of it's a girl. And then we move right past that to the fact that she has treasure. And I was like, thank you. Cool. Okay. So they, for some reason, decide to board her boat and take the treasure in this manner. And I was like, I understand as they're doing it. I'm like, okay, this needs to happen this way so that she can take their boat. But while it was happening, I was kind of like, I don't really buy it, but it's fine. I just enjoyed seeing her get a jump on them and leaving them in this boat when there is a storm coming. And they get pretty quickly thrown from the boat due to, I think it's a whirlpool or something that's happening, because it's treated like it's a storm. But it's a very isolated storm. And I can't tell if that's really what it was or not, because she's not that far away from them. And it doesn't look like it's raining in any other places. And I'm almost like, did she eat a devil fruit that can conjure storms? What? How was that so perfectly localized? Aurora Borealis. So we cut from there to Luffy and Zoro. And Luffy apparently does not know how to navigate at all. I didn't realize this. I don't know if it's even been mentioned before. It might not have been. But the fact that Luffy can't navigate feels like a major flaw. He can't swim either, according to the lore about the devil fruit that he ate, which I also don't think I knew. That really feels like something that his stretchiness should be able to help with in some way. Like he could make little paddle hands for himself, stretch his fingers out wider. I don't know, something. But he sort of retorts because Zorro says something about how, you're making a pretty shitty pirate when you can't even navigate. And when he returns to him, yeah, but you were supposed to be like a famous bounty hunter on the high seas. And you apparently can't navigate either. Zorro says, well, I went searching for this man, but then I couldn't get back to my village. I had no choice, so I just went after pirate ships to earn a living. And Luffy says, oh, so you're just lost. And he says, don't put it like that. And he gets so mad that he, tips the ship with his, gesticulation. And Luffy's hat goes flying off. I really hope that this isn't an ongoing thing. Because I will say, I got high-key irritated with Luffy watching this hat fly away when he is a stretchable person whose arms can extend. You could easily grab that hat out of the air. Why are we pretending that he can't do that? Is there some limitation to his ability that I don't know about that would keep him from being able to just grab this hat out of the air? Because I really feel like he should have been able to just grab his hat out of the air. Is that just me? Is it? I want to know. The scene of him chasing the hat, this went on for a minute. And the whole time I'm waiting for his stretchy arm. Never happens. I mean, this scene, it's several minutes. What? Come on. Let's be consistent here, okay? Come on. So, this is when we find out about Shanks, who was his sort of idol. I'm not sure if Shanks was related to him. I don't feel like we ever hear about his parents exactly. Florian says, nah, that's fair. And Ms. T says, 1000% not just you. Thank you. Appreciate it. I need validation. But I don't know about Luffy's parental situation. He's in a bar and it doesn't feel like he's with anybody. And he's just talking about how he wants to be a pirate, and Shanks is sort of mocking him, because he's so young, as are everybody else in the fucking place. I'm not a kid, I'm a grown up. Oh my God, the face that he makes when he says that. Ugh. So, to test him out, Luffy gives him some booze to drink. And he, chokes on it, basically. Shanks gives... Did I say Luffy gives him? Shanks gives him a drink, and Luffy chokes on it. And Shanks uses this as proof that he is actually a kid. And there's this, bartender woman in the bar that I'm is she his mom? I don't think so. She never, says... that's my son, but she has a very sort of maternal vibe towards Luffy. I do have to mention, there are so few women in this show. I mean, good God. We've really barely, we had in the episode with the, capturing Zorro, that was a woman and her daughter. So there were two female characters, but they sort of fall by the wayside and they don't really factor in to anything much. They're just there to be the people that he saved. We have the girl who's, out swindling people and stealing from pirates, which she's very fun. Don't get me wrong. But then we've got this bar full of people. I surveyed a variety of angles that this is drawn at. I don't see a single other woman in this entire bar except for the bartender. And the raiders that come in later are all men as well. It just, I really want some more ladies thrown in the mix here, so just putting that out there. So yeah, this guy comes in, he knocks the door off its hinges, stomps on it as he walks in. The man is huge. He's at least 1.5 feet taller than everybody else here. And when he comes in, he says, we're mountain bandits, but we're not here to tear up the place. And I'm like, aren't you? Because you literally just kicked a door off its hinges for no reason. What do you mean? And the bartender straight up tells him, we don't have any more alcohol left. I just ran out. Girl, I understand not wanting them at your place, but like, I feel like the fastest way to deal with them would just be to sell it and just move on with your life. Just sell it. Just get them out of there, you know? I will say though, I don't know how many of you have seen this story that has circulated. I think it was like a Tumblr post. And this woman was at this, or I say woman, I actually don't know that. A person was at a dive bar, and the bartender was just sort of ignoring them the way bartenders do when you're at a shitty, depressing bar. And then a person came and sat down next to her, and the bartender didn't say anything to them except, no, get out. And the guy was like, wait, I just want a drink, man. I'm just here to give you some business. My money's as good as anybody else. And he said, no, leave now. And the guy got up and left. And she said to the bartender, I said she, I'm going to say it as if it was a woman. She said, what was that about? And the guy said, you probably didn't notice because a lot of people like don't know the signs like you do when you're a bartender and you've seen this before. But he had like iron crosses and all sorts of like Nazi insignia shit on his jacket and tattoos. And people think that you can just let a Nazi come and sit down and just not make trouble and just give him a drink and it's not a big deal. But then they bring a friend the next time, and that friend brings friends a couple of weeks later. And before you know it, you're working in a Nazi bar. And then they're so entrenched that trying to get them to stop coming means that you are beginning to really invite trouble on yourself. So what you need to do is nip it in the bud and not allow them in there at all and make it really clear. And then he just went back to like not speaking to her for the rest of her visit. But that's always really stuck with me as like the idea of giving a little. It's that giving a little that sets people up to be in a position where they can then take a lot. So I'm wondering if maybe she was like, you know what? I'm not going to give a little here. He's trying to buy alcohol. First of all, it's all my stock, perhaps. Second of all, I don't want this guy coming back. I want him to know that we're not a place for him. But in that case, I would just kind of be like, well, fuck off. But you can't say that to these guys because they're obviously very violent. So they wind up like dousing, Shanks holds up a bottle and is like, well, you guys can take this. It's unopened. And he like punches the bottle and gets booze all over Shanks, glass all over the floor. And this guy says there's an 8 million berry bounty on my head. Okay. Hold up. Is the currency in this universe berries? Did we know that already? That's hilarious. What is this? What? Are we Pokemon? What are we doing? Berries? Why? I want more information. Okay, just saying. So, yeah, this guy, there's an 8 million berry bounty on my head, you know. One bottle ain't even enough for a bedtime drink. Don't insult me. I love how this guy thinks that those two things mean anything to one another. He's just like, well, obviously, because there's a bounty on me, it means that I'm an alcoholic. I'm like, that's not really relevant, sir. No, but, and these guys finally just leave, and Luffy, as his child understanding, it's understandable, he is disgusted with the fact that they all sat and watched this dude, because he like sweeps his sword across and breaks a bunch more dishes and bottles and stuff. He is disgusted with the fact that he that all these people just watched this happen and didn't do anything to stop them. Now, look, kid, I really get it. There is nothing quite like the first moment as a kid that you see adults not doing the right thing. Like, it's a moment that we all have, and it's often just straight up confusing, where you're like, well, we all know what you should have, is nobody gonna, wait, really? Nobody's gonna, oh. In this case, I kind of feel like he's right, because there is no, like, the way that it's treated here is more like Shanks tolerates them disrespecting him because he doesn't have a big ego about it and he doesn't care that much. But once they start coming after his friends, that's different. However, in the moment, this is a bar with like 30 people in it, and he comes in with his bandits and there's like, what, 12 of them? They could have taken those guys easy. Come on. But they all just don't do anything. I'm like, they walk down towards the bar. You guys have them surrounded. Your position is excellent. You could absolutely have taken care of these guys. So honestly, Team Luffy in this situation, like, yeah, he's a kid and he has an unrealistic expectation of people in general because that's how kids are. God bless them. But in this moment, I actually think that he really was on the right side of things. So yeah, he yells at everybody about how they like didn't do anything, didn't stand up for themselves. And then there's this weird moment where he's just like looking around angry at the fact that Shanks is so cavalier about the whole thing, really. And he looks over and sees this like treasure chest that's open that has a giant berry in it. And there's no real explanation as to like what this is. Like, we know what it is because we know that he ate the thing and got a power. But it's weird because it's like, it's sitting on the counter that previously had nothing on it or everything got knocked off it. It's just sort of right there. The berry is the size of the whole chest that it's sitting in. And he grabs it and just starts eating it for no discernible reason, because I thought he was eating it due to the fact that he was going to get a power from it. But it doesn't seem like he knows that he's going to get a power from it based on the reaction he has when he finds out that it's devil fruit when Shanks says something to him. So is he just eating because he just wants to, like, Florian says angry eating, that's how he gets his powers. Is that it? Is he just eating like out of rage? Can't relate. When I'm super angry, I don't want to eat. I eat to cope with like depression. It's much more about sadness. I can't eat when I'm deeply upset or angry. Then I can't, like, my stomach clenches up and it's just not happening. But so he just eats whatever's like right in front of his face. Huh. Okay. So Shanks looks over and realizes what he's eating. And I thought he was going to be upset because of the value of the item. And that's actually not even mentioned. I really expected that to be the issue, that he was going to sell it or that he was saving it. And I don't, like, first of all, lock up your shit. Second of all, this, like, it really is the first one, lock up your shit, because this, apparently these things are valuable enough that I would really think one just sitting around in a bar would not be safe, that you would really want this, like, under lock and key. He grabs Luffy by the ankles and shakes him up and down, saying, spit it out, every last bite. And all of a sudden, Luffy stretches out. His legs stretch first, and so his face just pancakes into the floor. And then his legs retract, but his neck stretches so that his face is still in the floor before it snaps back and his head is in the right place again. Honestly, this bit of animation sent me. I laughed so hard. I don't know what it was about the, like, neck coming second and how long it takes for it to snap back into place, but I was cracking up. And he just goes, "What was that?" And Shanks yells at him, "What you ate was the gum-gum fruit, known as a devil fruit. Eating it turns your body to rubber and makes you lose the ability to swim for the rest of your life." I want to know how those things are related either, because like rubber floats pretty well. Why is that what happens? Is that true? Did he just say that? I don't know if I buy it. So, and at this point, I think Shanks calls him a dumbass, which I honestly, they call people dumbass. They call each other bastards. Somebody calls the girl a bitch at one point. This show is much freer with its language than I expected. And I appreciate that a lot. So then we cut to Luffy, who, it's a weird moment because he gets told what the fruit can do and that he like will lose his ability to swim. We cut to then the camera panning over the empty bar, which is like kind of trashed. And I don't understand what happened here. Can anybody help me out with this? Because we then see like running feet and Luffy like slams up against something, and I'm assuming that it's meant to be that he was running. All of this cut together, I completely lost what was meant to be happening here. I don't understand why the bar's been abandoned. I don't understand where he's running to or why he like ran into a barrel. Is that what happened? How did he wind up out here? Oh, is the running supposed to be the woman that's chasing him? I don't understand how he wound up out here. I don't understand any of this. It's a really weird, like, series of pieces that are put together. And it was very hard for me to follow. So, let's see. Gabriella says the bandits took him out. Oh. Florian says, so the day later, the bandits get in the bar, Luffy tells them to F off, and they take him out and beat him up. Gabriella says Makino is the one running to get the mayor. Oh, this is all supposed to be the next day? I didn't get that at all. And I didn't get at all that the bandits came back. I mean, we have a moment of them, like, laughing together and saying, you see the look on those pirates' faces, but I thought they were just at a different tavern. Okay. Yeah, that was very, very unclear. So, this is the whole thing with, like, okay, I just missed the way that this went down. So, Luffy is basically being put on blast here by these bandits who are about to kill a child to make a point. The mayor comes out and bows and grovels on the ground, asking them to spare his life and that he will even pay them if that's what it takes. And the like head bandit is sort of like, well, at least you know your place. But no, I'm not taking money. I'm just going to kill him. Again, where's Luffy's family? I'm very curious about what the deal is with like who he actually belongs to. But he's about to get his head chopped off, and then all of a sudden Shanks appears. I was wondering why the bar was empty. It looks like it's those same guys from before. And the whole thing, like, this is all a flashback, obviously, to inform us where Luffy got this hat and why it's so important to him. And it's really funny because when we first see Shanks, he's actually not wearing it. He's like got it on the counter, I think, next to him on the bar. And it really doesn't look like it fits with his aesthetic. It's an odd hat to choose for a badass character, you know? I'm not mad about it because sometimes that's what's fun, is that there's something that you wouldn't really think is meant to be associated with a badass, and then it starts to take on its own sort of meaning because of the fact that the character like really completely pulls it off. So I really like that this is like, this straw hat really feels like something that, you know, my Aunt Edna would have worn to the beach. I don't have an Aunt Edna, but you get my meaning. And I find it really funny that this like badass pirate is wearing it, and then Luffy is wearing it, and it becomes this sort of symbol. But yeah, so he turns up, and this becomes this like standoff. It's a weird moment where a bandit comes, holds up a gun to Shanks's head, and says, "Don't make me blow your head off." Shanks says, "Put your life on the line." And he just says, "Huh?" And Shanks says, "Now that you've drawn your pistol, put your life on the line. Those aren't for threatening people." And the guy looks like he pulls the trigger. But then it turns out that the dude in the green striped shirt has pulled his trigger on the gun that he apparently held up to the bandit that the bandit did not notice. This is another weird moment of things coming out of nowhere. And I get that that's partially the point, but I don't know how this very large man, who is also eating a giant turkey leg, so making a lot of noise, could saunter up with his gun, and this man did not even see him or hear him or notice him. But evidently that's what happened. And it's also like, this dude just like shoots him and goes back to eating? That is cold-blooded. Honestly. And then the bandits have the nerve to say, "These bastards fight dirty." Excuse me. Which one of y'all pulled a gun first? Y'all just can't handle losing. Just admit it. Just admit that you're a bunch of bitches. It's fine. We all know already. It's not like it's a shock. And there's this man, too, that's like standing next to, oh my God, I was going to say Shanks, who is extremely tall. And he has like a cigarette in his mouth and a ponytail. This dude is of interest to me. There is like a clear sexy character thing that they're trying to do with both Shanks and Zoro. And that's all well and good. But that man is the actual sexy character. I think we're all aware of that, if I'm not mistaken. And I would like to know more about him. I would like him to have a main part in everything so that he's around more. And also, I should mention, if any of you have ever read Johnny Tremaine, there was a character in Johnny Tremaine named Rab, who I had a massive crush on as a kid reading the book. And this is exactly how I pictured Rab, and it was a weird sensation to like see this character that is completely unrelated, who is basically, it feels like they pulled him right out of my head, and he has nothing to do with any of this, you know? And yeah, he steps out and he's got like a bat, I think. What is it that he uses? And he just like sends a couple of them flying. And there's just a crowd of like crumpled bodies around him a second later. He says, "If you want to fight us, then go drag a warship here," or something. I love this moment so much. "Hold on, the kid attacked us," this dude is saying. Dude, saying that this child attacked you is not the defense that you seem to think it is. And Shanks says, "You're a wanted man." And the guy just says, "Damn it," and literally throws a smoke bomb, disappears, and Luffy is also gone. And Shanks absolutely freaks out that Luffy is gone. I cannot, like, the guy has a smoke bomb. Yo, how fucking handy would it be if you could just do this? I would love this. You know? Like, you're standing in line at Walmart and somebody behind you tries to strike up conversation about these illegals. And you just throw a smoke bomb and fucking turn up in like an aisle 6 ways down at a different cashier. Problem solved. Great. I love it. You're at work at the water cooler and somebody's about to spoil you on what happened on Bridgerton. Smoke bomb. Back at your desk. Didn't get spoiled. This is the solution. This is it. This is what we've been waiting for. All of us have wanted ways to get out of shit gracefully. Smoke bomb. Very subtle. Works like a charm. Perfect. I do love, too, the ponytail guy, who I will now call Rab in my head, when Shanks says it won't take us long to find him. He says, I can't believe this guy, kind of under his breath. And I can't tell if he means that about Shanks or the bandit. So then we cut to the bandit who's like on a boat saying they'll never expect a bandit to escape on the sea. And he's holding Luffy by the back of the shirt saying that he's going to die because he made him mad, and he tosses him into the water. I love Luffy flying through the air saying, damn it, couldn't hit them even once, damn it, as he like hits the water. And then the most unexpected thing I can imagine. I don't know what to make of this. Homeboy is standing there just cracking up at Luffy, who is drowning. And all of a sudden, there's this wall of water behind him. And suddenly, there's a giant fucking head. There is what looks like an enormous electric eel from the Little Mermaid, the Disney movie. The way this creature's face looks is like almost identical. And it swallows him in one gulp. And then begins to go for Luffy. And it comes at him really fast. There's this like, the illustration of it swimming through the water towards him is super duper unnerving. It's so quick and it's so like, sort of, what's the word I want? Juddery? It is, I hated it. And it opens its mouth and it's about to get around him. And then Shanks turns up and saves him. And it really seems like for a second, he was fine. He saved Luffy and it's no big deal. But then we find out that he lost an arm, to which he's like, whatever, it's just an arm, who cares? I love him staring this fucking sea creature down, and it begins shaking and just runs away. Well, swims away. That was a pretty good bit. But yeah, so this dude, he's, an arm down and obviously doesn't care as long as Luffy is safe, which speaks very highly of him. And it becomes a lot more obvious that why Luffy stands for this dude so completely. I love him also saying how Luffy fought for them and that he owes him an apology for the fact basically that he was like defending his friends, because that's like his whole deal, evidently. It's only an arm. It's no big deal. I'm just glad you're all right. And Luffy's crying. He says, don't cry. You're a man. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Be cool. And then we cut back to Luffy and Zoro. I lied. We cut back to the town and they are loading the ship up. And Luffy gets the hat, and this is like the parting gift that he winds up getting from Shanks. I'll leave it with you. Take good care of it. And Luffy is really sad and upset because he isn't getting to come along with them. He really wants to get on the ship. But they are heading off without him. And we see their flag, which is a Jolly Roger with like a stripe across the eye. The same as like the 3 scars that he has. And I'm just realizing that the Jolly Roger with a sort of play on each one is how every pirate ship is going to be. It's like a gimmick, and I'm super into it, and I really, really like it. If I were going to do this, my Jolly Roger would have lipstick, and it would be wearing a crown with probably like heart-shaped gems in the crown, probably, just for instance. I love this, though. Luffy holding on to the hat and crying, and just like, bring it back once you become a great pirate. So then we come back to the present, and Luffy is looking at the hat with this sort of pensive... I love this moment where Zoro is like, is that hat important? And Luffy just says, yeah, but doesn't tell him the story, which I fully thought the whole reason we were seeing this was because he was explaining to Zoro, but he doesn't explain any of it. And I was like, so are you just not going to tell him any of your history? Like, you've got nothing but time, man. Share this. What are you doing? So they are very hungry, and they look up, and there's a bird. And Luffy says, okay, let's eat that. And he uses his arms to slingshot himself into the air. I love Zoro, who asked, how are we going to get it down? And he does this, and Zoro just says, I see. And he's so unimpressed. And then Luffy catapults up there. There's a long pause. And Zoro's sort of like, what the fuck? And he looks up, and we see Luffy is caught in this bird's beak by his head. I burst out laughing. Like, this was a genuine LOL moment for me. I did not expect that. And the animation of him caught, it was really undignified. And I just found this incredibly funny. And then we get Zoro saying, what the hell are you doing? Paddling after him because they have oars for this ship. And he comes across these like 3 pirates that are floating, who I really thought, from the way that they get tossed in the water at the end of the scene with the girl whose name I'm forgetting. Do we know her name actually? Well, we know it by the end of this. It's like Nunzi? Nami. Thank you, Florian. I thought that was shorthand for like, these guys drowned and they're dead now. So when we see them again, I was genuinely very surprised. And they're like sort of trying to hail Zoro and get him to stop for them. And he is not interested. He's like, I'm going like over you basically. And if you can cling on, good for you, but I'm not stopping. So figure it out. And when they finally get on, they attempt to try and take the ship away from Zoro. And there's a moment where Zoro just sort of looks straight at the camera. Like, are we really doing this? And then we cut to all of them. And for a second, I was like, what in the fuck? And then I realized this is meant to be that they have cuts and swelling all over their face because they got their asses beat. It took me so long, you guys, because the animation for this is rough. And so it's just like there's big like goiters coming off their faces. And I was just like, what happened? And then I realized like what this was meant to be. And we had no idea you were the famous pirate hunter Zoro-san. Forgive our rudeness. And he's just salty about the fact that because they interrupted his paddling, he doesn't even know what direction they went into. And let's see. But what now, bro? I forgot somebody says bro. If Captain Buggy finds out a girl stole our boat and treasure, and the other guy says, yeah. And Zoro asks, who's this Buggy guy? And they say, you've never heard of Buggy the Clown? He's the head of our pirate ship. And then we see the close-up of the fucking... This really feels like a Juggalo thing. I know it's not, but that Jolly Roger, there's just a real Juggalo vibe to it. And I was like, why would a clown... Why would you take that on as your, like, gimmick for yourself. I think, based on what the conversation is later, it's the implication is that Buggy just happens to have a big red nose. And so he decided to take on the clown thing because it just happened to be like organically thematic, but not that he chose it because of anything with clowns in particular. It was just what wound up working for his look. Which, I mean, you know, that's a good tactic. It's an easy way to make things sort of work together. But for my initial like feeling on it was, why, what would you choose that for? And then we go to like the pirate ship, which is painted in very like a Harlequin style. It's very over the top, even compared to the original ship with the hearts that we saw. And we're in this village and we see, what's her name? Nami. And she is running away from these dudes that she apparently just stole a map from. And then we cut to the tent and we see Captain Buggy for the first time. We don't really see the full view. We just see like a close-up of his eye and his nose. And as soon as I saw this, all of my like misgivings about the clown aspect completely went away. I was like, oh, this dude looks terrifying. That is the scariest getup. I kind of forgot about how terrifying clowns are in the best of times. And because just the Jolly Roger on its own looked sort of goofy, I expected him to also be pretty goofy. And like, he is goofy in his way, but he is also genuinely really scary. I did not like it. Just saying. So yeah, that wound up working. And then we have Luffy literally being like dropped in the middle of the village that this girl is like trying to hide in by the bird that he got caught by. So that's the end of the episode, is him being dropped. And then we go into the next one. And she had like stopped and stared at him in the street when he gets dropped. And there's this sort of vibe of her being like, oh my God, what are you doing here? But then she stops and she gets a devious look on her face. And she runs up to him and says, boss, you came to save me? They're all yours now. And she runs off. And obviously her whole plan is meant to be that these dudes think Luffy is in league with her and think he's also like higher up on the totem pole, and they take him instead. And that does indeed apparently begin to work until Luffy decides to fight them. And I'm honestly always delighted to see his stretch arm fighting. It's a very satisfying thing to watch. It's really weird. When he punches these two dudes, there's three of them. And the first one he takes out really easy. And then the other two he gets, one of them like collapses like in basically what's the equivalent of child's pose in yoga with his butt up in the air, which is one of those things that if you look at it, you're like, that is hilarious. But then you also think about how you would fall. And I bet that happens more often than not, falling in really weird positions like that because of how your body just tends to bend. And Nami has been like standing off on a rooftop watching this whole thing. And she sees Luffy punch these guys and is impressed with the fact that he was able to beat them without even being armed, and asks him if he wants to join up with her. And she says that, and he says that he doesn't really feel like it, which I found to be a very funny way of responding. He doesn't just say no. He just says, I don't feel like doing that. There's a sort of like immediacy to his response that I just found really amusing, because there's a sense of just like, maybe later. Talk to me like in an hour after I've had something to eat, you know? So then we cut to Buggy and the full introduction of his character and his whole look. Talk about a cosplay. I don't even know. He is wearing black and white striped socks, plain brown leather shoes. I really thought that there was going to be more to those shoes than there turns out to be. And and these like basically like blue pantaloon kind of capri length breeches, a black and white striped t-shirt with a sash around it that's green, then a orange white fur trimmed cape with green and yellow epaulettes, a purple scarf, and then a hat that's orange to match the cape with the Jolly Roger on the front of it. It is a look, for sure. Who did this? Who is responsible for this? Not to mention the fact that he has the crossbones painted on his, like across his forehead so that the bottoms of each bone come across his eyes, which is also a pretty cool look. The whole anyway, and all of his people, like, there are some who are more ordinary looking than others, because some have like full clown paint on. There is a woman in the background here. I didn't notice her, but she has like a party hat on, like one of the pointed cone hats, and her hair in like pigtails that are sticking straight up and out of her head. There's a lot of people with clown makeup or various hats or weird collars that are in theme. But then there's like the occasional person who's just like very like Chad from accounting. I wish that I could share screenshots in the chat here, because there was one guy in the background of one scene that I almost burst out laughing because he just looks so ordinary, like just any dude, you know? I was like, how did he get mixed up with these people? What even happened there? And then we get to see what this dude's fucking like catchphrase is. A flashy death awaits them. Y'all, I swear to God, that is the funniest fucking thing I have ever heard. What? He uses flashy all the time, and I am not tired of it. I love it. It's so weird. Oh, this whole thing is so weird. What? Oh, I can't. I can't. This is so funny. What? I can't believe again, 2 20-minute episodes, and I'm like out of time. You know, I've got 10 minutes left, and there's still like 18 minutes left of the second episode. I gotta hurry up. So then we have the conversation between Luffy and Nami. He thinks that she's like invited him to her house to have something to eat, but it turns out that when Buggy showed up, everybody just took the fuck off. So she does not live here. She's just feeding him out of somebody else's larder. And he asks if she's a pirate, and she's like, no, I just steal things from pirates. And he calls her a sneak thief, and she gets really insulted. And he says, but a thief's a thief. And she says, my goal is to earn 100 million berries, no matter what it takes. He says, what do you need that much for? And she just says, it's a secret. Girl, piece of advice. If you're not going to tell somebody why you're doing this like particular, very specific thing, just don't bring up that you're doing this particular, very specific thing in the first place, because you're just being a tease. Stop it. And she says something about the map of the Grand Line, and he asks if she's a navigator and is very excited about this and says, that's perfect. Do you want to be our navigator? And she seems very interested, you know, she just asked him to join up with her, and now it seems like they're on the same page. And he says, yeah, our new pirate crew navigator. And when she hears pirate, she's like, no. And it turns out that pirates killed somebody who was important to her. So she is very anti-pirate, and she does not want to team up with him at all. What I find really funny is how he wants to be a pirate, allegedly, but then he calls her a sneak thief, and I'm like, Luffy, I mean, isn't that what pirates do? I mean, I guess it's not sneaky if they're just like bashing people over the head and taking their shit. But I just don't really feel that Luffy is a pirate. He keeps using that word. I don't think it means what he thinks it means. I think he just wants to be an adventurer. And he's using the word pirate because he doesn't really know what pirates do. I don't feel like Luffy's got the stomach to like overtake some stranger's ship, rob them blind, and then sail off and like sell the passengers as slaves and shit, you know? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like that's kind of part of the deal, and he just doesn't seem to really like care about that. He's out here on a mission, and that's adventurer, not pirate. But regardless, she says no. And he's just like, oh, okay then, and just sits back down and keeps eating, which honestly, that's a mood. She hears these dudes down in the alley talking about trying to find her, and then she comes up with this plan that she decides to implement with Luffy's help, and tells him that she might consider joining up with him if he'll come with her to see Buggy the pirate. So what she does, very kinky, she ties him up and she frames the whole thing. Forgive me, I'm going to adjust my mic up here a little bit. She frames the whole thing as if she had been teamed up with him, that he was her boss, but then they had some sort of disagreement, and she is handing him over, along with the map that she stole, in order to make it look like she's had a complete change of heart, and now she wants to team up with Buggy, which is actually a pretty good tactic. Man, I like it. It works. Buggy initially seems to buy this, and they're having a party to welcome their newest member, and it's honestly really, like, it looks fun. And then he's like, I want to celebrate by using a buggy ball. And what the buggy ball turns out to be is a huge, like, fucking cannonball that is enough to take out practically, like, an entire city block. And this shit is, it's a bomb, basically, you know? It's devastating. And from way off out in the ocean, after they use this thing, Zoro and the other crew members see the, like, smoke going up, and they know exactly what it was for. But they also figure that might be where Luffy is. There's not really a good reason for him to think that. I think that it's just sort of the guys need to, you know, they want to get reunited with their captain. And so they just go with that because he needs to drop them off anyway. And, oh God, I almost forgot. There's like a black character here who is drawn in such a caricature, like of a minstrel. It's a real bad look. That was unfortunate. I forgot about that until just now, because he's the one that carries the cannonball over to the cannon. But yeah, the way that they illustrated him, I was like, ooh, yikes. But they load up another ball into the cannon and turn it to face Luffy. And they tell Nami to light it in order to prove her loyalty. And this one dude just gets, like, impatient, grabs the matches from her, and lights it himself. And she winds up, like, pulling this sort of staff that's, like, broken up into pieces that's hiding up her leg, like, against her thigh. She pulls this out and goes against this guy and just beats his ass without really thinking about it, and gives herself away a little bit here, realizes that it's still lit, and reaches out with her hands and fucking puts out the line that's, like, crackling on fire with her bare hands, which is honestly the most baller thing on this show so far. That must hurt like such a motherfucker. Like, just burns are the worst. No, thank you. So yeah, I really like that moment. I was like, all right, girl, you got balls. Good for you. You got ovaries. Good for you. And this is when Zorro shows up and we have the fight between him and Buggy. I thought initially that the way that Buggy gets cut into pieces was for the benefit of the children, because there's no blood, there's no bone, there's no look to him of how it would actually look to a person to get cut apart. But I was completely fine with that because I'm like, well, this is a cartoon. Like, you know, it's for kids. They don't want a bunch of blood. That makes sense. But then everybody starts laughing. And I'm like, obviously, nobody's worried that you killed the captain because he's not actually dead. Turn around, dude. But he doesn't turn around. And the captain gets cut into all these pieces, but then they put themselves back together again. It's very unnerving. And he winds up stabbing Zorro from behind, like through an area that would be like where your kidney and liver is, which that would be a pretty bad injury, I would think. And when Zorro turns around, it's a disembodied hand floating in the air that has stabbed him. And the fucking Buggy has a knife between every one of his fingers on his left hand. He's got a sword, and then he's got like 4 knives. These people are just doing too much. They're out here doing too damn much. Okay? Everybody calm down. I ate the chop berry. I'm a chop person who can't be cut. Oh. Oh my God. Oh, love this. This is such a weird fucking show, you guys. It is so weird. I love to, Luffy off to the side says, a chop guy? You mean he's a monster? And then a sign pops up that says rubber person pointing at him. That's very meta for this show. All right. I like it. I didn't hit any vital spots, but that's a pretty serious wound. I win. I was like, I gotta agree with you. Like, that feels like it's quite a blow. But then they turn this is one of those things. They turn the cannon around and nobody gets out of the way. The cannon takes a while to turn around. It takes a while to light it. It takes a while for the fucking, like, the flame to reach the cannon. And nobody moves out of the way the whole time. Why? What are they doing? And this results in an explosion that then cuts right to be continued. Now, I have to imagine that if Buggy can get chopped into pieces, an explosion isn't really going to do anything more to him. Like, maybe you should cut him into pieces and then drown them. Maybe that would work. You could cut him into pieces and light him on fire. I don't know that this is going to help, though. It's really weird, though, that they all just stand there and watch him do it. And they're like, no, don't do it. But they don't get out of the way. Guys, just like step to the side. It goes in a straight line. It doesn't even blow outward. Like, just get out of the line of fire. It's fine. But anyway, so that is how the episode ends. This show is so weird, you guys. I don't even know. So the next episode is going to be Tuesday after next. So episodes 6 and 7. So yeah, I hope that you guys can come and hang out with me for that. Thank you, Florian, very much for commissioning this. And I really hope that y'all are enjoying my take on the weirdness of this. And I will be seeing you then. Until then, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.